We have gathered here today to mourn the end of an era, to mourn the loss of our bookshelves. But we are also here to celebrate new beginnings and a new life. Yeah, so I'm moving. Once again, it is time for me to pack up moving boxes. I love moving. Isn't moving so fun? Yeah, I'm moving, and I'm not moving just down the street like last time. I'm actually moving to China. So unfortunately, I won't be able to take all of my books with me because I'm not rich. And so having all of these shipped over to China, no, I don't think that would be possible. So they're going into storage. It is extremely hot. If you can see me sweating, pretend you can't, okay? Because there's nothing I can do about this. This is my bookcase. You have seen her, you have loved her, and now it is time for her to go. We have a little bit of a space over here because I use the books that are usually up there as decoration for another video. Let me just grab those for you. Ah, there you go. I'm not gonna put them back on the shelf. Like, I'm not crazy. I have 3 of these big Schwerlastkartons, aka like heavy lifting moving boxes that are built to carry like 40 plus kg. And then I have a couple more smaller moving boxes. But let's just hope it doesn't come to that. So, in case you're wondering, what the hell am I doing in China? Great question. I'd love to tell you. I actually am going to study. It's a very basic reason. Probably the only reason young people are going to China these days. I've mentioned this before. I study Chinese at university here in Germany. Well, Chinese and political sciences, but who's gonna go and study political sciences in China? Like, let's be so clear right now. And so it has always been part of the plan that I have to go back to China and do a year there. I have lived in China before. Fun fact, when I was 16, I was like, you know what? Everyone can go to the US at 16. I'm different. And so I went to China for an entire year. Was that a little bit insane? Sure. Was it a great character shaping experience? Absolutely. Do I recommend? That depends who's asking. But yeah, I have lived in China before. I know at least... That was a Buchstütze. I speak somewhat decent Chinese. Like, I think once I'm there and I'm getting back into using my Chinese, I honestly think it'll be fine. I honestly don't know what I'm doing here. I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Sure. Okay, here's a couple of hardcovers. I think I'm going to pack those in the next books because there are already quite a few in there. I don't know what I'm going to do with my trinkets yet. Like, if I'm going to put them just on top the moving boxes, because, like, these are seashells. They're fragile, right? And so I'm hoping that, you know, once I go back to China and actually, like, have use for the language again in, like, my day-to-day life, a lot of it will come back to me. Obviously, I've been studying Chinese at university the last couple of years. And, like, I honestly... Obviously, we learned, like, a lot, right? Especially vocabulary. I learned a lot of vocab that I didn't know previously, but it's just the fact that we don't really have the opportunity to use Chinese other than in the classroom. And our teacher is great. Like, she really does pay a lot of attention to us actually using verbal Chinese and speaking it and stuff. So like, as far as a classroom setting goes, I think we're receiving some of the best Chinese language education you can get, but it's just not the same as having to speak it every day. And so I'm in the delusion that this will be totally fine. This won't be difficult at all for me to relearn and get comfortable in again, and I'll be completely fluent without any language issues whatsoever within 2 months. So you might be wondering, am I really not taking any books to China whatsoever? No, of course not. I'm not a sociopath. And I have 2 books on this shelf that are coming with me. One is Crime and Punishment. Listen, this book, this is the oldest book on my TBR. I have had this copy since 2020. I actually started reading it. I don't know if you can see it, it's tabbed there. And listen, it's just time, okay? I need to read this book. And I feel like having it be one of like 3 books that I actually can read physically is just going to motivate me. So this one's coming. And then I have Christopher and His Kind by Christopher Isherwood. This book I'm taking because I have a rough video concept that I'd like to do in the next couple of weeks, like a reading blog, and I think this book just fits into that reading blog. And I'm also like, I want to read it. I really like Christopher Isherwood and I'd love to read more of his work. So I'm taking this one. And then I also have this little stack of Macmillan classics. I love these. These are so cute. I really wish I had more of them, but they're just not the most readable editions because the font is very small, so there isn't super much space for annotating and all of that stuff. But I really like this collection. And that kind of concludes the first box, I think. I'm gonna try and lift it to like see if it would be too insane to put in more. This is fine. This is totally doable. So let me at least like finish putting in the classics. I also like, as I'm looking at this, I'm coming to remember that I usually use my bookshelf as like somewhat of a junkyard. Like all the stuff I don't know where to put, I just put behind my books because I'm like, whatever. Who's gonna care? Is it time for me to unhaul hopelessly? This is also, I think I've had this for like 3 years or something. I don't usually keep books on my TBR that long. Like I usually read books within 6 months of purchasing them. And this sounds so good, but I just never feel an inkling to pick it up, Like I'm never interested in picking it up. It's fine. Future me can take care of that. And we're coming to my Shakespeare's. I thought about taking Romeo and Juliet, just because I have this really small copy of Romeo and Juliet, and I really like Romeo and Juliet. On the other hand, it's Romeo and Juliet, like I could just get an EPUB, so I might do that instead. I think I'm going to stop here just because that concludes all of my classics, except for the couple of children's classics up there, but those are mostly hardback. Let me just take up the paper. But those are mostly hardbacks, and so I already have a lot of hardbacks in this box, so let's not tempt fate too much, alright? Yep, that's heavy. But my boyfriend said he will carry them, so die erste Kiste ist voll, sie ist sehr voll, aber David hat gesagt, er trägt sie. Alright. Oh God. Okay, so in terms of where exactly I'm moving, I'm going to study in Suzhou, which is like a relatively large city, about 40 minutes train ride northwest of Shanghai, so pretty far into China's south. The last time I was in China, I was actually in the very north. I lived in Dermose, which is a pretty small town on the Russian border in Heilongjiang, so in the very top of China. And I honestly thought about going back to Dongbei, to like that region, and maybe, I mean, not to that city, because let's face it, it was an ugly city. Listen, it was home, And that's about it, okay? Yeah, I don't think I would have wanted to go back there realistically, but Dongbei in general is a really nice region, especially to, like, in my opinion, to live. Maybe not the most nice to visit, but the people are great, the food is even better, and I'm personally more of a cold climate kind of girly. Like, I don't really do well with hot weather, and so for a hot minute, Dongbei seemed like a great place to be. However, I just decided, I just decided that it wouldn't be the right thing for me to do, just because I've already lived there and I really wanted to like see something different of China. And there's also like the added factor, going anywhere from Dongbei, you have to take like a 4+ hour plane ride. Like, we once took a trip from Harbin to Xi'an, which is like, Xi'an is, I'd say it's mid-China. I think most people would still consider it northern China. But it was a 4-hour plane ride. And so like going to Shanghai or something would have been like a 6 or 7 hour plane ride. Not to mention the train rides. Like, I once took a train from Beijing to Jiangsu where I was, and that was a 10-hour train ride on the fast train and a 26-hour train ride on a slow train. And like, listen, no. I just cannot do that again. Unfortunately, I was like, no, I gotta put myself first. I need to protect my peace, and that's what I'm doing. And so I just decided to go further south and also near Shanghai, so I have a big international airport available to me and all of those things. So if like the mood strikes, I can just travel other places, see other places. And I think that'll just be really great. Because honestly, I didn't see too much of China last time I was there. Part of it was definitely that I was just so far off everywhere. Like, the fact that it was so much effort to go anywhere else. But it was also just that I was very anxious and a little lazy and deep in culture shock and all of those things. And I'm trying to counteract that and just make it a little bit easier for myself. I actually have plans to go to Japan and South Korea as well while I'm there. I have a friend that's going to be in South Korea at the same time that I'm in China. And so from Shanghai to Seoul, it's really only a 2-hour flight. So I thought about going there for a week or so during vacation. Welcome to my floor. I unfortunately really didn't know how to film this any better, so this is the shelf of shame that you never get to see, because I know it's ugly, okay? I know. What am I supposed to do about it? Hilfe. And now we're coming to potentially the last book I'm planning to take, and that's Babel by R. Kwang. I need to read this book. Like, I genuinely think this is going to be one of my favorite books of all time. So yeah, the fact that I haven't read this, blasphemous. No. So this is coming with me to China, because also it's like partly about Chinese history and the main character is Chinese, and so it fits. It fits. The books are packed, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in more content about my China adventure, it is coming. I hope. I have a lot of plans for content while I am in China, and so if you want to see that, subscribe, like, come back to the channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!